it's funny. You remember in basic training, like drill sergeants, like we didn't screw you up. We are recruited.
Oh, that was
Yeah, so the drill sergeants perhaps are like the most sincere people we meet.
Right, they have to go through a lot of different training. Right, yes, because they have to be able to kind of, like you said, like, break you down to build you back up
Yeah.
into a certain way. But yeah, I mean, and I don't want to say everyone has a job to do.
Yeah.
Recruiters have a job to do, right? That's their
Yeah,
job.
that's their job. But I have
They're going to highlight the big things.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, you're gonna be at a team.
Do you ever see the movie? It's Private Benjamin. It's Goldie
Oh, yeah.
Hawn. It's like an '80s movie. I love that movie. But she's like, "Where's the yacht?" Like, right? Like, when she gets recruited, that there's all these pictures.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be.
Like, yeah,
Right, yeah.
It's like, what are you talking about?
Right.
My last question, actually, two questions. There's a ROTC program in Rutgers University. It's a big program here. How are you guys connected? How do you support that program?
So their students and their cadre, so active duty service members are here, who are ours, right, in the sense that we'll support that population. But we're a university level office, even though we're in New Brunswick and work directly with the population in New Brunswick, and they are just campus in New Brunswick. So Camden, Newark, and RBHS, you can do ROTC through crosstown agreements with other. Like if you were doing Army ROTC from Rutgers Newark, you're going to Seton Hall ROTC, right? You're still a Rutgers Newark student, but that's where you're going to drill out of. So, so again, there are students, but they're also just specific to New Brunswick here on the campus.
Interesting. My last question is: I know that things evolve. If you have to draw the perfect evolution for what you guys do to serve people, to serve veterans and students in campus, what would that look like?
I would say like you have to be you're talking about adapting. I had a first sergeant, and I still use this today. You don't be flexible, be fluid, because flexible is too rigid, right? We're changing. The population's changing, right? So when Urszula started working with veterans, and I started working with veterans a long time ago, it was all combat veterans. Then it switched into, right, like depending on the state, we have a lot of current service members because there's the National Guard tuition waiver. Right.
a higher number of dependents.
And that's the number that's going to continue to get bigger. There's some Big Ten institutions that half of their population are dependents. And so when you help the dependent, you're helping the veteran. And I think when we have students whose parents who are overseas, stationed overseas, and they're here, right? So I think looking at the evolution is that we don't just say, okay, veterans, and everything's about the veterans. It's about veterans, service members, dependents, and then even within the veteran community, there's the combat veteran and veteran. Right? So they all have a place, they all have a home, but they have different experiences and needs. And the evolution is making sure that we're addressing all of them and not just, specific. Because people constantly like, oh, veterans, and like, yes, that is the majority of our population here. But there are these other pieces too, and those matter.
Interesting. And I like the fact that you mentioned service itself is key to that evolution. And it leaves me with a good note because it seems like both of you have the experience of what the alumni is going to look for veterans when there's a time of war and also when there's peace. And that is so important to have that kind of experience because let's say, God forbid, doesn't happen. There's a war tomorrow. You know what that's going to look like, and you can start being proactive instead of reactive about it. And that knowledge you have, both of you have. It's so important because the veteran is going to be better served, and that's the important thing. That's the message. That's my takeaway. We normally do a little round of takeaway. That's how we finish. My takeaway is that you have Urszula and Anne that has prepared themselves, and they have seen how the behavior looks like when there's war, when there's peace, and how to serve in those moments. And that's my major takeaway, that you guys have become fluid to these situations, and it's all about making. I wouldn't even say going beyond the human experience. It's about understanding that somebody's life is so important to develop. and you help them transition into that. So that's my major takeaway. I don't know about you, Autumn.
Well, my takeaway would be to never lose the heart of service. And you guys did a beautiful job of expressing that. And I think too, like connection does a beautiful job in restoring dignity. So I love that you guys receive everybody, remind everybody of their humanity, even if they have problems or so many things are going wrong. You look to the heart of that person and you get to the bottom of things. And the heart of service will be in my mind forever. So thank you.
What about you, Kevin?
My major takeaway was the veterans group is more than just vets. It's about the families. It's about how they and that there's a backbone to support. Like they're not just alone. Like no one's alone when they get out of the service. Like there is support. Just go out, try to find it. I'm pretty sure somebody will help guide you to it. So for the vets that are out there, and for the family members, like there's support out there. So just search and use self-harm.
Thank you so much, Anne and Ursula, for educating us, educating the public. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like. If there's any comments you have with regards of, this particular veteran affair office, I will definitely send them to you.
Absolutely.
And so that way you can help them. And please, this is your place to come if you go to Rutgers University, even if you're not a veteran.
Mhm.
They provide an excellent approach to what the alumni experience should be. So thank you, enjoy, and we will see you next time.
I don't think that it was so much of a change. We've always had a reading problem. There's always been a reading problem, right? COVID did not unveil this great big reading problem. COVID unveiled the access and accessibility, right? That woke us up. But we've always had a problem in this country with reading, going back to anti-literacy laws. So I just want to preface what I'm about to say with the fact that our brains were not wired to read. We had to teach it, right? It does this great thing. It rewires itself, right, to form pathways for reading to develop. A lot of people don't understand that. It's very different than language. Language, you can put a child in a room full of people who are speaking and they will speak. You don't have to teach them how to talk, right? That is not going to happen for reading. You cannot sit someone in a room full of people who are reading, whether they're reading out loud or silently. It's not going to happen. You have to teach it to read, right? That starts very early. What we think is reading starts in kindergarten, and then we build these habits in kindergarten. And if we think that, we're 5 years already behind, right? Reading starts really at the moment of conception. How? Well, all of the stuff that mom eats, all of the environmental pressures and stress impacts the developing brain. Reading is all about the brain. The brain is the main character, right? And so if we understand that, then we have a point of reference. And so how do we build stamina, right? Because in order to learn to read and read well, you have to build stamina. I'm like, this is a race, right? Not for the quick athlete, but it's endurance. And it took us years, decades to get here. My book has only been out since August. It's not going to take months for us to get out. And so people have to come to the point where I came to and say, okay, I reflected, now I see, and now I'm going to do better. When you know better, you do better.
Maestro style, cosmic call. Transfer your mind. It's time to create.
I'm trying to coexist. Exist. Yeah, I'm trying to coexist. Exist. I'm trying to coexist.